Well, well, well. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to apologize for us not being around last week. Unfortunately, I had some computer issues that I'll get into with our weekly review. But needless to say, it has been fixed. We are back. And we have got some wild stuff to talk about this week in regards to the world of comic books. We're going to be talking about the Diamond Distributors going bankrupt. I shouldn't say finally, that's kind of cool. But we've got that. We've got the grave of Gwen Stacy, of all people, getting dug up. And a little bit of gay Superman's boyfriend, specifically, possibly needing to purchase a white panel van. Just
at minimum.
Yeah, just bleh. So, a lot of wild stuff this week, so let's go ahead and get right into it. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to On the Grind. Alright, so to get us rolling, to let everybody know what is going on, who is with me this week, we have, of course, our editor-in-chief here at Grindstone Arts, Mike.
Hello, hello.
And our lovely social media manager, Sina.
Hey, how you doing?
And then, of course, for everybody knows who I am. I'm Micah. I run the joint. But, man, we got some conversations for the week. So, like I mentioned, last week I had computer issues, was not able to do the podcast. I again apologize for that, because admittedly it's my own damn fault, because I clearly did not take the precautions I needed to take on something. So here's what happened. I wanted to upgrade my graphics card because I had a little extra scratch. I said to myself, I've been meaning to upgrade my PC for a while now, and I think it's time, because it's this weird thing where the specs on my PC were just as good as a lot of modern PCs, but the problem is that the processor generation, the graphics card generation, stuff like that, they were finally starting to get aged out because the extra things outside of the horsepower were not there. I couldn't run DX12 Ultimate. I couldn't do much with frame generation, so on and so forth. So I found myself in a situation where I'm like, well, I'm kind of backed into a corner here. It's either get this new stuff, or one of my favorite hobbies, which is video games, I can't really do anything new unless I want to buy a PS5, and who the fuck wants to do that?
Awful.
So, yeah. So, I find myself upgrading. So I get the new graphics. I get the new graphics card. Oh, go ahead, Serena. What were you gonna say?
I say, what's wrong with PS5?
I don't want to buy a console. I just don't. I don't really like console gaming anymore. It's nice to sit in my living room and play a video game on occasion, but I prefer the options that PC gaming gives you. Whereas, oftentimes, when it comes to your frame rate, when it comes to the presentation of a video game on a console, it's very limited to specifically what that console can do. With a PC, you've got so many more options. So, to tell the tale of the insanity really quick, I order the graphics card. The graphics card does not come in on time. It's sitting in a warehouse 1 hour away from where I'm at. I just wanted to ask the person at Amazon, hey, can we contact logistics and see when this is going to get to me so I can make sure that I'm here for it? Instead, the idiot, with no request for a refund, refunds it anyway, meaning I had to order the card again, which means it took longer to get here. Then, when the card actually got here, which I was very adamant about ordering it when I did, because of the tariffs that are going on, graphics cards are going to go up in price for a bit, and lo and behold, the card I ordered is now $400 instead of the $330 I got it for. But I finally get the card in. It is a Radeon RX 7600 XT with 16 gigabytes of video RAM. It is a beast of a card. So I get that in. I start to install it into my PC, and then I get everything set, ready to go, and the PC won't turn on.
Oh no!
Yeah. So now luckily I had a day where I was gonna like have a grocery order, right? So I said to myself, wait a minute, paper clips are fucking cheap. There is a really easy way to test whether or not this is the power supply or this is the motherboard. So I grab my power supply, I pull everything out of it, and I do the paperclip test. Power supply runs just fine. My motherboard's dead. Which also
no!
Yeah, which also means that the processor is likely dead too.
Oh
So,
my.
yeah. So I had to buy new motherboard, new processor, new heatsink on top of the graphics card I just purchased. So that's another $300 worth of parts that I had to buy. But I did that. So now I have, and I'm going to read this off. I already mentioned the graphics card, but right now my PC is running with 48 gigabytes of RAM and has a 12-core Intel 12th Gen Alder Lake PC, a 12700KF. It has 12 cores
Oh.
and 20 logical processors in it. And the eight main cores run at about 5 gigahertz.
Not bad.
So, yeah, the Alder Lake CPUs are really fucking good. And they're the last gen of Intel that was really stable. So they're probably going to last a good long while. In fact, a lot of gaming companies recommend this exact processor to run modern video games at max. So I'm stoked because goddamn, like, and I've got a graphics card that can run these games at the highest settings. First thing I did, I put in Space Marine. Because Space Marine 2 rather. Because Space Marine 2 is an Unreal Engine 5 game. It's admittedly not that well optimized. But I'm like, if I can run this at 60 frames or more with this new card without frame generation on, we're good. And I could rather easily. So I'm like, oh, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to be easy to run as fuck. No, it fucking isn't. Ugh. Yeah, that was a kick in the balls. So, for those who don't know, I am a big fan of Final Fantasy VII, the original game. I love it. Oddly enough, it's the one Final Fantasy that I have beaten that I have never replayed more than once. Because the story just... It's one of those stories that hits, and you don't want to reevaluate it ever because you don't want to see the flaws of it. It's like the same reason why I've never rewatched Breaking Bad. I don't want to. I don't want to ever rewatch it because if I start seeing flaws in it, I'm going to just disappoint myself. So, I dread the day that I'm ever I ever want to review that for my YouTube channel, because I know that I'm just going to be like, I'm going to hate myself for figuring out the things that went wrong.
Well,
Same reason I'll probably never review The Godfather.
I mean, fair enough.
So, I'll tell you right now, I just wrote a review for Zeta Gundam. That was hard to write. Because, I really don't want to point out flaws in this. Luckily, though, when I went back and looked at it, the major flaw that it has is Camille is kind of a filter character. Because it's Camille, he's a fucking brat. But
It's also a girl's name.
Yes, it is. But but on top of that, the major flaws that I saw weren't with the original show, but with the movies. Because the movies, I'll just let people watch the video when it comes out. But I have some things to say. We'll just put it that way. But anyway, but Final Fantasy VII is an incredible video game. It's one of the greatest role-playing games of all time, East or West. And I really enjoyed Remake. I think that Remake is tremendous. I don't mind the changes that are in it because, technically speaking, this new trilogy of games that they're doing with this setting is a sequel to the original game. And it's a sequel to stuff like Advent Children and Dirge of Cerberus. Because it actually integrates elements from those stories into this. Deep Ground, which was part of the Dirge of Cerberus story, shows up in the Yuffie expansion for Final Fantasy VII Remake. And what they're going to do with that, I'm intrigued by. So, but Rebirth, performance-wise, this is a Unreal Engine 4 game. So they haven't even updated the engine yet. And it runs worse than some Unreal Engine 5 games I have. That was incredibly frustrating to see. Because all I want is a consistent frame rate. That's all I ask for. And there are texture pop-in problems. There are frame rate stutter issues on occasion. There are some parts where just the frames just drop to 15 for no fucking reason. It's the performance is, though, in my opinion, one of the worst things that you can be on PC. Inconsistent. Like, I'm not the type of person that gets headaches very often playing video games. One thing that will give me headaches is if the frame rate just peaks and drops constantly. It will strain my eyes. And, oh god, it does that at some points, and it's very, very, very upsetting. Like, one spot that it did it, have you both played through Final Fantasy VII by chance?
I have yet to play it.
Oh, wow. Serena?
I haven't even touched it. I haven't played the original or the remakes.
Wow. I'm shocked. This is one of those games like I feel like everybody's played, but I guess that's not really the case.
I only played, the only Final Fantasy game I played to completion was 15.
Well, I recommend playing the original 7 if you haven't, and it still holds up even to this day. The graphics have obviously aged, but if you're on PC, there's mods for that. If you're not, it's, it is what it is. It's a 20+ year old game. You kind of expect it. But regardless, there is a town that you go to called Junon, which is a fishing village, but during a war that was going on, Shinra, the big bads of the story, or one of the big bads, they built a giant fuck-off artillery cannon over the city. Like, literally on top of it. So, the first time you actually see it, it's an actual, like, physical object. Sort of, you kind of have, like, the Dark Souls moment. Where you're like, whoa, that's fucking huge. But you don't really get to soak it in because the frame rate fucks up. And you're like, oh, really? So, the only people that I know that apparently have not had these issues are people who have the super way up their cards. Like, Maximilian did a video about this, and he apparently got it to run at a good frame rate and didn't have many problems with it, but he's running like a 50 or a 4090, which is like ridiculous. So the unfortunate thing about this is that, and this is sort of the unfortunate thing about Square Enix in general, because of their deal with Sony, it really feels like they have less time to deal with their PC ports than they did before, which sucks because the only thing they were focusing on was the PS5. And then they're like, well, shit, we have lost money on this deal because Sony sucks and have effectively priced themselves out of the goddamn market. So we got to pick up the slack on our end. Luckily for them, the PC version of this sold well, apparently, and they're apparently going to bring it to Xbox too. In which case, I know a lot of people that are who primarily get Xbox consoles that are going to be happy with that because, they love Final Fantasy VII and so on and so forth. But regardless, I just have to say, like, that part was disappointing. However, the plot, the story, the gameplay, all of that is fucking awesome.
Good.
Like, it's the great thing so far about it is still surprisingly a blast to play. Because when it's running well, when it's hitting that 60 frame per second stride and you're going around the environments and fighting enemies and shit like that, it's a lot of fun. They have added a lot of side quests, and basically how it works is the world is sectioned off into different spots that are around these cities. So the first area is around Calm. They make Calm, which like in the original game was just there for you to leave Midgar, go to a hotel, rest, and Cloud gives you the backstory on Sephiroth. That's basically all that Calm was for. Now it has its own plot to it. It has its own... It's a living, breathing city, and it feels like a living, breathing city. And it's really cool to interact with it, to walk around it. It's got this gorgeous architecture. Looks very Eastern European, but in a not like rapey way, So it's not like Hostel. It's more like those idyllic Scandinavian towns, like something like that, rather. And just gorgeous looking. There's these great grasslands you can go through. You get chocobos, because of course, and they are a big part of the game, and they are pretty great. The boss fights are a blast. The Midgar Serpent fight specifically, for anyone listening, is a lot of fun when you fight it early on in the game. But this is the one thing that I've loved about the Rebirth series so far, or I guess you could call it the remake series, is that the boss fights are awesome. Like, there's only one bad boss fight that I've encountered so far in it, and it's the Hell House in Remake. That one I hate, but the rest of them are awesome. A little frustrating at times, but still awesome. But regardless, the way that I look at it is that ultimately, like, my first impressions of it is, like, would I recommend the PC port? If you are like me and you are a Final Fantasy nut and you can get over a few performance hitches, you're going to be disappointed by the performance hitches, but stick it out, and it is admittedly kind of worth it. If you are somebody that has a passing interest in it, or you've never played the Final Fantasy games or Final Fantasy VII before, I would honestly advise playing the original PlayStation game. You can get it on PC. It is dirt cheap. Last I checked, I will actually check the store real quick to let you guys know. Final Fantasy VII on PC is only $12, and it is worth every penny. And then you can pick up Remake after that, and then and then go to Rebirth, because, like I mentioned earlier, the Remake series is technically a sequel. So they're doing interesting stuff with it. I'll talk about it more when I actually sit down and review it for the show. But regardless, it's something that's like, I can't necessarily say go for it immediately. If you can wait, then wait. If you can't wait, then go for it. That's my thoughts. Because you will there is still fun to be had despite the performance issues. All right. Let's move on to our first topic of the week.
Oh boy, Gwen Stacy.
I wish Hatman was here.
He'd be so mad.
Well, he'd be mad because I would be dropping every Gwen Stacy is dead joke that I can. And then reminding him of how J. Michael Straczynski made her have an affair with fucking Norman Osborn.
Oh boy.
Oh no. time I reminded him that it was canon, he would get so pissed off. I swear he's one of my best friends, but that's so funny. Oh, God.
Who knew she had a thing for waves?
Does this mean to eventually try and resurrect Uncle Ben?
They actually tried that at one point, and it was very poorly received. And it ended up just being an alternate universe version of him that was, like, evil. Which, like, I don't know. It was one of those Peter David ideas that Peter David will throw out every once in a while that just doesn't hit. And that was one of them.
Why make him evil?
I don't know. I didn't understand it. The Uncle Ben coming back, like, is one of those things, like, it doesn't need to happen. And so what Marvel is teasing is the possibility of resurrecting Gwen Stacy or her grave being dug up or something like that. Spider-Man as a comic book has been at a record low point creatively since Zeb Wells took over the character. I don't think he's writing him anymore. I think that they finally got Zeb Wells off of that book. But the new writer apparently is not really, like, veering away from the bullshit that Zeb Wells was doing. And it's apparently even worse. Like, Peter is a complete and total douchebag to everybody around him. He's even more miserable than before. They're trying to make him the Sorcerer Supreme or something. And it's like, what are we doing here? Like, why the fuck? It's this common thing that we've been saying. The House of Ideas is out of ideas. They have nobody there that has any ideas that are interesting. And the idea of bringing up another Gwen Stacy story, to me, is just absolute desperation. Because they have been digging up this grave piece by piece for ages. For example...
Also, isn't Gwen, like, Spider-Gwen still around?
Well, that's what I'm getting to. Is we have this thing where we have Spider-Gwen, which is like an alternate universe Spider-Woman, where it's Gwen Stacy, which is not a terrible idea. She has her own background, her own little universe, and it was a neat little thing, shockingly popular among certain people. So they made it a thing. They made it a consistent book. And
they also rolled into the movies, the Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah, they made her or they put her into the Spider-Verse films. She is now Miles Morales' romantic interest in that, which some people seem to think is a fetish thing. I have not seen the second Spider-Verse film, so I won't comment on that. I just wanted to throw that out there. That we might be dealing with another thing of the writer's poorly disguised fetish. But
wait, how's it? Is it an interracial relationship or something?
There is apparently... Mike would probably know more about it than I do. There is apparently some sort of a fetish around black guy, white girl.
I haven't seen the second movie, but I do believe there was a point where they were trying to be coy and hide the trans flag in Gwen's bedroom, I believe.
Oh. Ugh.
Yeah, it's a little off-putting.
Yeah.
To try to fight Gwen might be... Oh god, that explains Jesse Jenner's fucking videos.
Oh, oh no. Oh no. But anyway, we've got all that going on. Then we have but we've got the Spider-Gwen thing. Then they did Gwenpool, which was a novel little concept. Again, like, the original comic wasn't bad whatsoever. I actually thought it was fairly entertaining. Not like mind-blowing or anything, but it was fun enough, you know? And it was basically just like they were doing another character kind of like Deadpool where she broke the fourth wall. The difference being she's not a mutate. She doesn't have a healing factor or anything like that. She's literally just a comic book fan that got translated into the Marvel Comics universe. So it was a novel concept, but I kind of feel like it kind of ran its course. But it was popular, so Marvel had to try to bring it into 616, and it just never landed, and now we're stuck with her. So, but then again, that's another Gwen Stacy, pastiche that we've got running around in Marvel. And now, for some reason, we feel like we've got to do something with the original. And I think to myself, we don't need this. We don't need to retread this. Honestly. Like, the element of Peter Parker's character that was developed as a part of this, it just reinforced his desire to hide his identity because the person at the time he loved the most died during a conflict between him and his greatest foe in the Green Goblin. Because for those who don't know, the death of Gwen Stacy also is the first death of Norman Osborn in the comic books. And Norman stayed dead for a while, too. So, the way that I look at it is, like, I'm of the opinion that there are some characters that should absolutely stay dead in Marvel. And I think we should just keep it that way. Captain Marvel, Marvel, I'm of the opinion if you ever brought Marvel back, it would be pointless. But Marvel Comics clearly has no value for the character because they gender swapped him in the NCU. They basically made him a throwaway, which sucks as a long-term comic book fan, which is part of the reason I hated that movie. But there's that. But Gwen Stacy is another, because the character had run its course. There wasn't really anything else to do at that point with Gwen Stacy. The only thing that you really could have done is, like, if Gwen married Peter, it's basically going to be barefoot and pregnant, because that's the character she was. She was just kind of like trad girlfriend in a lot of ways, or like what the internet calls the trad girlfriend. That's what Gwen Stacy basically was. Like, she wasn't particularly like as forward personality wise as Mary Jane. She didn't have the interesting crazy stuff going on like Black Cat does. She's not a midget, so like the one that Dan Slott put in there, because that's the writer's poorly disguised fetish right there. But
wait, what?
You didn't know about Peter Parker's midget girlfriend?
No, this is new to me.
Oh no! So during Superior Spider-Man, which is when Doc Ock took over Peter Parker's brain, Doc Ock started dating a midget
by the name of Anna Maria Marconi.
Yes.
And
the funny thing about it is that she was actually the best character in that comic. But it was so obviously Dan Slott's fetish. It's just like, oh my god, dude.
Comic book writers, don't put your fetish in your work. Challenge impossible.
Oh my god, it really is.
How are we going to get any work done?
By the way, I just want to say that I want everybody to be proud of me, because in my stories, I don't think that I put out a redhead yet. Asian girl, however, is incoming, but that's a whole nother thing. But
redhead. But, wait, wasn't that character that's one of Elijah's students a redhead?
Oh, that's right, she is.
So you have put a redhead.
Yeah, but she's not a romantic focus, though. Nor will she be. On top of that, so regardless, though, the way that I see something like this, it's like, we didn't really need Gwen Stacy to, like, her time has passed. Like, there wasn't really a whole lot that she would really add to this, and she'll never add anything to Marvel anyway, because there's nothing really that special about her. Like, I'm sorry, but the character's kind of boring. Like, of all the Spider-Man girlfriends, she's nostalgic because she died.
Hmm.
Like, that's
I will.
basically it.
I will say that the only thing I do like about Gwen Stacy is Gwenpool. Like, just the design. I love the
Mhm.
fucking design. Like the fucking like the boots, the fucking leotard. It's amazing. But that's about it. That's as far as it goes for me.
Yeah. But
The
when it comes,
concept, it's just overdone.
yeah. But it's one of those things where it's like, when it comes to Peter Parker girlfriends, you can't top MJ. You can't. And trying to dig up Gwen Stacy, like, it's just pointless. It serves no purpose. It does nothing. And I really feel like trying to retread this, like, it is just really stupid. The idea that they're teasing a resurrection. Just no. Let her stay dead. If you want, now, on the flippity flop, if somebody wants to use the character getting dug out of her grave to fuck with Peter Parker, that could be interesting.
Actually, that'd be kind of fucking sick in like a terrible way.
Yeah, that's something that would be a great plot for a Carnage story.
Carnage would be an absolute cunt to do that. Oh,
Oh, and it
I
would be
mean,
totally in line with something Cletus would do. But
bleh.
but apparently Cletus is not Carnage right now. Apparently Eddie Brock is.
Why?
I don't fucking know. The House of Ideas has run out of ideas. Like, fucking what? Rick Jones is Venom now.
Why?
The House of Ideas has no ideas.
If I have to constantly why, something is very wrong here.
It's like, how can we not? How can we be lame? Like, that's how they seem to be doing their things. It's like, we don't get away from what works. You know, that's part of the reason that I don't see myself buying the second Spider-Man game on PC anytime soon, because Eddie Brock is Venom. Period, point blank. Eddie Brock is Venom. You know, he is a big, strong, tall, buff dude who wears a symbiote suit that is also big, strong, tall, and buff, and has a personality all of its own. Like, and by the way, I still maintain Tom Hardy, perfect casting for Eddie Brock. I thought he did, even when the films weren't that great with the most recent two or the last two. Tom Hardy as Venom was still perfect. Like, he carried those films on his back. God bless him.
Okay.
Yeah,
To
but
lose that many inches on his back. Ugh, terrible. Squished down from all that weight. Oof.
made the poor man even shorter.
He was just little to begin with.
Yeah,
Ugh.
let's see. Tom Hardy's a pretty short dude, isn't he?
Yeah. Let me go
Well,
find out.
okay, he's short. He's short compared to me and Mike. Me and Mike are
Mhm.
pretty tall guys. Tom Hardy is only 5'9".
5'9". Yep. Just so small.
Yeah. Whereas for those wondering, Eddie Brock in the comics is 6'2", 6'3". He was an Olympic athlete. So he was a beast before the symbiote.
You mean to tell me that I'm Mog Venom? Oh dear.
Well, you mog Eddie.
Okay.
Yeah, it's wild. Like, with Eddie Brock, if he were a real human being, I would be eye to eye with him.
Oh boy. I'd be looking
But
down on it a little bit.
yeah,
Just a little. Not too much.
wild to
But
think
good.
about, isn't it?
Just it's fucking weird. Ugh.
Like, I would be able to I would be looking down at Peter Parker, which is a weird thought, because Peter, I think, is only 5'8".
Just live.
He's a little dude. It's like, what? But anyway, it's like don't try to fix what isn't broken. Like, tell cool Venom stories, tell cool Carnage stories. Like, there's cool things. Like, here's an example. Did you know that Venom has only had 2 encounters with Kraven the Hunter?
Really?
Seems like a bunch too few, but
Yeah. And it's like, so that's a story. That's an interesting story. Kraven wants to hunt Venom. How does he do it? You know, like, I want to see that. That sounds pretty fucking dope. And yeah, like, Carnage figures out who Spider-Man is, and he digs up Gwen Stacy's corpse to fuck with him. That sounds fucking metal. That would be an awesome plot. You know? In fact, have Carnage fuck with both Venom and Spider-Man. Have him dig up the corpse of Anne Wang too. Fuck it, we ball. Like, let's fucking just tell interesting stories that with these characters. Like, do stuff with them that people want to read. Don't fucking go for nostalgia bait. If the comic is good, people will come, but nobody at Marvel is good. So nobody's buying. It's like, this is just fucking pathetic. Like, 10 years ago, or not 10 years ago, like 8 years ago, you want to know what got me really hyped and got people buying Venom comics? Venom fighting Stegron the Dinosaur Man.
Who?
Exactly! Nobody knows who Stegron is. He's like a dime store version of the Lizard. But you want to know what it had? It had cool art, and it had Venom fighting dinosaur people. I'm going to post some art in our Discord server, but for anyone curious about it, just look up Venom number 157. And
not gonna lie, I love it and I hate this fucking Stegron. He's so goofy looking. I wanna pinch his fucking beaky cheeks.
Yeah, he's kind of adorable. That's the fun part about him. But that arc with Venom fighting him with that art by Gerardo Sandoval is so fucking epic. Just a panel that I posted said, now big fight with dinosaurs, and it's like there's just, and the art is so fucking good. But it's just like, that works. That's very comic booky. It's a lot of fun, you know. And there's so many cool stories you could tell with the character of Spider-Man, with the character of Venom. You could do in this day and age, since Venom has essentially come around to being a anti-hero, leaning more towards hero. You could do Eddie Brock stories with him and Spider-Man, and do a team-up book of Spider-Man and Venom, and just have them have cool adventures, and people would buy it in droves. Like, you just do 6 issues, Spider-Man and Venom in the Savage Land. Big fight with dinosaurs! And it would work. Do a scenario where... like, I don't know why this would be interesting, but Carnage goes to a gulag in Russia and somehow manages to resurrect all the corpses of the dead to try to invade Russia.
Oh, God.
Again, that would be fucking cool, you know? Just Spider-Man and Venom fighting symbiote zombies, you know? Stuff like that, I really feel could spice things up, because you're just telling fun stories. Like, and it would get traction on social media because it's awesome. You don't, to tell, like, characters like Spider-Man, Venom, Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, the Hulk, if you focus on just doing awesome stuff and don't worry about nostalgia baiting, and don't worry about constantly having Peter suffer for some fucking reason, and you just tell interesting shit with these characters, just people will buy it. Like I would absolutely, if you gave me a Spider-Man comic with a competent writer like Christopher Priest, like Christopher Priest write Spider-Man and Venom comic, I'm there. I would buy every issue because Christopher Priest is an awesome writer. It's my favorite. And you've got two of my favorite comic book characters of all time. I'd be there. But Marvel doesn't do that. They have to hire boring white guys who probably think that like plain bagels are the best bagels. Just fucking that think that Starbucks is actual coffee. Writing these fucking characters. It is the most try hard bullshit, and it has no place. Fuck it, get it out of here. Just no more.
Hey,
done.
Good. You gotta get some jelly on that bitch.
On a bagel?
Yeah. Jelly.
On a bagel. On a bagel. On boiled bread.
Yeah. We do that in New York.
My Jewish side is screaming right now.
Gross.
Then don't come to New York.
Schmear. You need cream cheese.
Cream cheese and jelly sometimes. If there's no cream cheese, use jelly as a substitute.
Actually, you know what? A combination of cream cheese and jelly would actually be pretty good on a plain bagel.
See?
But without the cream cheese, it wouldn't taste right.
Yeah, but all you have is jelly. It's a nice substitute.
And one thing, I might put this on the video version, but another thing that I love about Gerardo Sandoval doing Venom is he got to draw an image with Venom, Agent Anti-Venom, which is Flash Thompson, Felicia Hardy, Black Cat, and Hellion, in like the perfect like 90s comic book pose. I'm putting that in our Discord server too, but I'm gonna put it out there. Like that right there is quite literally one of the dopest comic book images ever, because it's just Venom with a fucking ammo belt and two giant guns. Like I really wish that they hadn't killed off Flash Thompson. I really liked the idea of Agent Anti-Venom.
What the fuck?
What I wanted more than anything during that time, which I really felt would have been gangbusters, would have been a book just called Spider-Men. And kind of do like what Batman Inc. tried to do, but do it good. Where you've got Spider-Man, Miles, the Scarlet Spider, Kane, Venom, and Agent Anti-Venom. All on the same team. And have them run New York. That would be fucking cool. Be absolutely fucking cool. But they just... Marvel does not know how to find money. They have no sense of how to find money these days. It's so fucking stupid. Absolutely depressing. All right. So, let's talk about this next one. I'm going to let Serena take the lead on this. Serena, why is gay Superman getting turned into a child and then being pedo-baited?
Okay, I haven't read the actual comic that took place, but I got like the play-by-play from like a YouTuber I watch called Thinking Critical / West. He basically, apparently it's supposed to be like a silly story in which, involving Shazam, Billy gets hit with the lightning from Shazam's, not Billy, John Kent gets hit with the lightning from Shazam's, when he says Shazam and the lightning transforms him. Apparently it reversed his aging, for what I could gather. And there's also a djinn involved and some other shit. So I haven't read the entire story, nor do I fucking want to. But it seems like there's a scene where Jay Nakamura, John Kent's boyfriend, literally sees his boyfriend gets turned into a kid and says, what was that? What was this creepy shit that he says to him? Would you believe if I said this was on my bingo card for the year? To his 9-year-old boyfriend. Now, for what I can understand, John is still 18 years old mentally, but is in the body of a child because there are scenes where John is calling Jay Bay and he's doing the same to him. Basically using pet names with each other.
Seems kind of cute in the circles that fucking pedophiles like to roam amongst, and other sexual predators.
Keep in
I'm
mind, written by the dude that turned Iceman gay, Sina Grace, who has a
I
history of writing creepy shit in his comics. This is not the first instance. There's many instances of this. For what I can gather, he even drew Bobby, an adult Bobby, as a fucking 14-year-old.
What
do you know
the actual fuck?
Local man who is tired has somehow managed to find find a way to become even more tired. I'm sick of being surrounded by these cocksuckers. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sick of them getting all these fucking projects, getting all these grant monies, all this fucking money in the background, right? And then they do this shit. And then they smear it in our faces over and over and over again. And I fucking, it chaps my ass. It chaps my ass when we have so many cool fucking ideas that just kind of have to go on the sideway lane because all these other motherfuckers have to deal with fucking diversity and they have to like prove that they own shit over and over again. And I can't. It fucking chaps my ass to no end.
I'm surprised no one in the comic community outside of Thinking Critical is talking about this.
My only guess is that they're still in that wounded puppy state where everyone is basically just been like bombarded over and over and over again with the message to the point where if they even point it out, it fucking hurts just to point it out. And it's just they can't summon like the strength to just fucking say, listen, this is enough. We can't fucking let this shit happen anymore. We don't have to let this shit happen anymore. This sort of shit, I am so sick of it. We don't have to let this shit happen anymore. We don't. And I feel like we're reaching beyond the ability for our us to take the shit. I am struck numb with the amount of the message comics that we keep fucking getting. It's let this be the last one. That's it. No more. We can't let this shit happen anymore. Like,
and also I was hearing rumblings that they're planning on introduce Dreamer, the trans character from the CW Supergirl show, into the comics, and they plan to have a storyline where she's in this weird love triangle / potential polycule with John and Jay Nakamura, with John Kent and Jay Nakamura, for reasons, and they plan on having a story centering around Dreamer that goes into her past, specifically her bottom surgery.
I'm gonna go start yelling over here. I swear to God. Fuck sakes. Jesus fuck Christ. Why do we have... I'm so glad the fucking grant system is going down. I swear to fucking God. God fucking damn it. God. Just...
Micah, you have anything to share?
It is so goddamn egregious now. Like, first and foremost, I have to say this as an editor, as somebody who works as an editor professionally. both. I've worked for major publications as an editor, and I now work as an editor with comic books. I have to say this right now. I watch the people I am writing like a hawk. Serena can attest to this.
Yeah.
Because, and the reason being is that's the fucking job. That is what you are there to do. The idea that you were pitched this idea of, first off, Jonathan Kent, a Superman getting hit by Shazam's lightning, turning him into a child, that doesn't work. Because every time that Shazam's lightning has ever hit a Kryptonian, it nearly fucking kills them. Because it's magic. Because that's how Kryptonians work. They have no defense against it. So, that's problem number one. Problem number two is you have gay Superman's boyfriend coming around and calling him pet names and saying that this is something he wanted to see is the person that he has sex with turned into a child. There is no world that exists where there is an interpretation of that particular sentence where it's not creepy. It does not exist. That's fucking creepy. It always has been creepy. It always will be creepy. The fact that the editor did not catch this and this got published is fucking horrifying. If I were a shareholder at Warner Brothers, and maybe I should be at this point, maybe I should buy some stocks in these companies so I can bitch at somebody whenever shit like this happens. But if I see something like this and this has been published, if I was a stockholder on a company that I own stock in, I would want somebody's job. I'd want the writer's job. I would want the editor's job. Right then and there. Fire both of them. Because this is disgusting. It is absolutely fucking disgusting. There's no other way to interpret it as such. By the way, I will say this right now. I don't fucking care if there's gay characters in comic books. There have been gay characters in comic books for over 20 years. This is not new. What I have a problem with is injecting fetishes into books where they don't, it's like this is DC Comics. This is not porn. Stop trying to make this into fan fiction porn.
That's the only way to describe it.
That is. It is absolutely wild. It's like the idea of the possibility of like a polycule with gay Superman and his terrorist boyfriend, mind you. Let's not forget that part. Having a polycule with a trans person. That's a fetish.
I don't know what's with trans people and polycules lately. That's I don't know why that.
One topic I almost had us talk about was the Destiny situation, but I don't even want to go into that shit. But like trying to go into that, like all you're doing is trying to turn your fantasy about these ideas either working or being acceptable into comic books, and people aren't buying it. The fact of the matter is that an editor-in-chief needs to come to one of these two companies, DC or Marvel, with a Jim Shooter attitude. If it doesn't sell comics, you're fired. That was what Jim Shooter would do. If you could not sell comics, you got fired. As a writer, you're out. If the editor could not bring forth ideas that would sell comic books, they were fired too. Get them out of there. They're just dragging you down. Does it sound cold from me? Yeah, it does. But at the same time, I run a fucking business. And to be frank, there are expectations. I've told everybody that works with us, there are expectations for us that, like, if something is not working, we're not going to do it. We obviously, the first book that Grindstone put on Indiegogo was Human Shield. It failed miserably. And we own that because, things could have gone better. and there's the possibility that the way we use the character of Human Shield might be different in the future. Maybe it won't be. We'll see how the next time we try to bring him up goes. We're going to try to build him up. We're going to try to see if we can get him to a point where he can carry a solo series. But that's sometimes the way you got to do things. But if a writer came to me with the pitch of fucking pedo bait like this, I would be calling the FBI. I'd be like, somebody needs to look at this guy's hard drive. Because, good lord, take his phone from him, take his laptop from him. Because something ain't right here.
It is off-putting, and the only way I can really describe it is that in attempting to adhere to the message, the fucking message that has been bombarded at us for so fucking long that everyone voted it out, that they are making it harder and harder for people that aren't pedophile cunts to not look like fucking egregious pedophiles. It's ridiculous. It's just I can't believe that this escaped the goddamn editor and went over their head so fucking easily that they missed the implications of everything involved here. It's absurd, and I can't fucking understand this. It's just oh God.
I was gonna say I've seen this plot point, this type of trope done better somewhere else, and that was Sailor Moon Super S / The Dream Arc. There's a part in Sailor Moon where Usagi and Chibiusa, her future daughter, their ages get switched by the bad guy. And because of that whole complication and not wanting to explain to Usagi's family what the hell happened, she goes to stay with her older boyfriend. Again, if it was obvious, Usagi is a middle schooler. Tuxedo Mask / Mamoru Chiba is a high schooler / college student. So Usagi, she goes to bed with him. She doesn't do anything. They don't do anything sexual, thank God. But he just holds her as they're trying to break through this situation together. But the spell runs its course. The spell that's placed on Usagi and Chibiusa kind of runs its course, and they are returned to their actual ages, their physical ages. Because both of them are still the mental ages that they were prior to transforming. So he gets turned into a kid, is still 14-year-old Usagi, and Chibiusa, who is a kid, who physically now resembles a teenager, is still mentally a young kid.
It's on my bingo card. This was on. Oh God, what a fucking way to tell on yourself. I swear to God.
Doesn't do what Jay Nakamura does. He just comforts his girlfriend who's going through a very confusing and traumatic time. He's not looking forward. He's not excited about the situation either.
It's a lot to take in. I mean, you got used to someone, and then suddenly they're not that someone anymore, and they gotta hope that they get over that circumstance. You don't just look at them and then be like, "Oh yeah, time to take advantage of this new situation because it's not technically fucking pedophilia." Holy fucking shit, Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, the reason why that scene happens was to basically reaffirm both Usagi and Mamoru's love for one another. To basically show that he will always be there for her regardless of what she looks like.
Oh God, I can't stand the message anymore. It's I'm just it's so distressing. I am.
This is why I stick to manga and Eastern media.
Only culture gentlemen's on this side.
Well, it's just one of those things, man, where just Western comics are fucking cooked. Like there's gonna have to be somebody has to come in and clean house, and until that happens, until somebody comes in with the attitude of like we can't just keep doing the message books. We need to actually sell books, and we need to actually do things that people want to read, not this fucking weird shit. Until that happens, we will continue to see this. And by the way, I'm a little pissed off that in the world of all the fucking culture warriors that a bunch of fucking dumbasses lied about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 saying that there's pedophilia in that when there fucking isn't, when shit like this goes on without notice. Fuck those people too. Jesus Christ. Anyway. Final topic.
Han's thing's a little overblown.
It's very overblown.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Okay. So, the final thing, we've been wanting to talk about this for a couple weeks now, and we're finally getting around to it.
Yep. End of an era.
Yep. Diamond Distribution has filed for bankruptcy. And this is a wild thing. So, Diamond since the 90s has had a monopoly on comic book distribution. Every comic book company went through them to get comics into shops. You want to get your comics into a shop, you got to get in touch with Diamond. They have to like you. If they don't like you, it ain't going anywhere. Period, point blank. And then the pandemic hits, 2020. Diamond says that they're going to suspend operations. Comic book companies go, what? Like, we're not cool with that. We need you to continue shipping our product. Like, there's ways to do this. Everybody's working around COVID shit. There's no reason not to do it. They're like, nope, we're not doing it. So, the big two basically said, fuck you. We're not going to do this. So DC Comics created Lunar Distribution to exclusively distribute DC stuff. Created their own company, their own distributor, used that instead. Whereas Marvel Comics, I don't think left Diamond, but that's because Marvel's stupid.
I mean, they're Marvel these days.
Yeah. But
we can marvel at how stupid they are.
pretty much. But when it comes down to it, like you look at the options, and it's like other companies started looking in other places too, because they didn't want to suspend their operations. There's people that still wanted to get their stuff. There were comic book shops that were basically just doing a thing. Like, I know my local one, they did a thing where if you wanted to still get your pull list, you just called ahead and you scheduled a time where you could stop by, and they would have your pull list for you. You just couldn't really browse comic books, because you couldn't go into the stores until things started to get loosened up. So for them to just shut down without discussing it or properly, talking to their fucking their people, to make sure that this is okay. It's like, did you guys think that you were in control of the comic book industry? And from what I have heard, I don't know if this is really true. From what I have heard, the guy who's at the head of Diamond seems to think that he was. And now, their control just continued to go down and down and down, until recently, where they have finally filed for bankruptcy. And this is a quote that the Baltimore Banner got from a spokesperson over at Diamond, saying through an email, the need to restructure was driven by the unexpected loss of certain exclusive publisher relationships, compounded by an overall contraction in consumer spending, increased inflation, and a loss of margin on key print product lines. So, needless to say, that DC leaving hit them hard. And they should have seen it coming, in my opinion. If they had been smarter about it, they would have seen it coming. But they didn't. And then, of course, inflation has hurt every single business in the United States and abroad. And then just, by seeing this, it's been interesting to see the response to it, because some people are absolutely think that it's fucking hilarious. Because apparently, like, since the pandemic, their ability to get things out on time has, like, been next to nothing. Apparently there's constantly delays because of them.
Well, I mean, it seems like it's been 5 years too late, maybe even 10 years too late, because like Diamond has been basically just sitting on their laurels, and unfortunately can't really do that. And it's just everyone has been trying to. It feels like everyone has been waiting for this moment to get around these fuckers, because they've been controlled. Like at one point, I swear to God, it was like 80% of all comic prints, and now not so much. And here we are, ripping pepperoni these fuckers. I guess just can't really expect. But what did they expect? It's just, good lord. I have nothing but spite for these fuckers. Like, oh goodness. Tried, back in the day, trying to see talk with them, like send emails, be like, okay, so, how do we get into touch with your production team? He's like, well, we're not accepting any new people. And they don't try to expand. They don't try to do anything, and it's just they just sit on the laurels and act like they're kings, and now they're not kings at all. It's just, I don't know. Things are changing.
It's a great fucking example of it just in the world of business. If you're not growing, you're dying.
Mm-hmm.
Because like these guys. Like, when that happened, like, if I were in their shoes, like, if it's like, oh, shit, we just lost DC Comics. Like, at that point, it's all hands on deck. It's like, we need to be better than the best now. We have to, if we're going to prove that we're on top, we need to start making assurances to the people that we work with that we're going to outperform, that we're going to, stay, because now we have competition. And once they had competition, they just couldn't do anything about it. So, man alive, it is one of those things where I look at this and I say to myself, like, I don't understand how the comic book industry has gotten to this place. I don't get it. It's just, I don't know how an industry run by some of the most inept fucking businessmen that have ever existed has managed to last as long as it has. It is a wonder of the modern world.
I'm gonna be real with you. It's just yeah. So it's and I swear to God, nobody else is gonna like learn from this. Just gonna chat my ass, but
well, as we continue to grow, I'm gonna make sure we don't make these same mistakes. But that's gonna take time, and this is a weekly podcast, so don't expect the change by next week. This is gonna take us a while, but we kind of reached the end of our discussions this week. So I have to say, though, I appreciate everybody who comes in, watches us, listens to us, so on and so forth, and hopefully we can continue growing the show and the company as a whole. hopefully very soon, Serena and I can get together to start putting together the campaign for Black Rhapsody Book 2, because the script is done on that. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. And, yeah.
Yay.
And we just got to bully Rena because she's a black woman.
Yes.
Yay. And I get more money for being bullied.
Exactly.
Free money.
So, hopefully, folks, you guys will stay tuned for all of that fun stuff. We are going to go ahead and take off, though. Just thank you once again for watching. If you enjoyed the show, you haven't rated the podcast on wherever you're listening this to, just go ahead and do so. It helps us considerably, and we will continue to bring you guys the best shows that we possibly can. So, with that said, for Serena and Mike, I want to thank you all so much for listening one more time. My name is Micah Curtis, the head of Grindstone Arts. Have yourselves a great rest of your week.
Bye.
Frick.